Here you can see I've blocked in all my letters into the 1-inch boxes, and now I'm cleaning I need with my kneaded eraser around my letters, and this keeps all your letters the same size, looking pretty good, and you can make nice bubble letters easily. Now we're going to do the 4 steps to get some 1-point perspective boxes. And I'm not going to go back all the way because I know my boxes aren't going to need to go back all the way. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the point, and anywhere I can go back from the corner or any indents, I'm going to. So here I'm starting with this M, and I've got all 4 of the bottom corners going back so far. I'm going to try this indent. I will run over the top. The middle part of the M, I can go back some of the way, so I'll go back till I hit the leg. I'm going to try the top up here. I can get a very skinny line, it looks like here. Yeah. And now I'm going to do the top of my letter. And I know my letter isn't going to go back very far, so I just take it back so it's not quite touching my A. I'm going to do the same thing with my A. I'm going to come back, and anywhere there's a corner or an indent that I can do without running over the top of my image, I'm going to do that. So the inside of the A right there, I went back some of the way. And I'm just going back, making sure I'm putting my ruler on the corner of the vanishing point and doing each line. Now I'm going to check these top 2 and these top 2 corners. Alright, this indent can go back some, and this will make the inside of the A look like it's going back into the distance. Yours can end up anywhere. It won't necessarily come to this corner. I just happen to make a pretty good square. Sometimes it'll go off like this and be really far away from the other corner. The top one won't work, that one won't work, and this one on the far right side on the top will work, so I'll go back some. Alright, now I'm going to finish these 2 off by picking a measurement. I want them to be fairly skinny, so I'm going to pick, let's see, I want it to be able to see inside of there, so I'm going to pick 3/8 of an inch. You might pick 1/2 centimeter, 1/4 of an inch or something. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to put a dot on each one of my lines. That's the amount that I picked, whatever you picked. If you picked a 1/2 an inch, if you picked 1/2 centimeter, if you picked 1/4 of an inch, yeah, every single line that you've made, you're going to put a dot, except where you can't. You see this one, I measured down, my dot would be in the middle of the leg here, so that won't work. I will be able to put one up here on this long skinny one, and this is going to help me figure out where my line goes, because that one's a little tricky. That's why we're doing this. Alright, now I'm going to start on the A. I can get one on the inside of this. I purposely picked a skinny enough amount so that I could get that on so you guys can see how to do that, because that's the trickier part. I've got 4 over here and then 1 more at the top, and then we'll be ready to go. So I'm measuring down each line, same amount, each letter. Right? You can do all your letters with step 1 where you draw lines back to the vanishing point if you want, and then do step 2. You just got to remember to check all your corners and indents, because sometimes you'll miss one and what happens to you, know something's wrong. Take your ruler back and see if you did step 1 right and you haven't missed anything. Like people sometimes would forget to check these indents over here, right, on the inside of a letter and not get them all, right? Right, now that I've got that copied with the dots, now I'm going to take my lines back into the distance. So bottom of the M, line it up, pull it back, and if you want to save time, you can do both of these guys at the same time. See how I did both the bottom left and the bottom right at the same time so that they'd be the same width, right? Then obviously I need an inside wall right here. I need this guy to copy into the distance, so I'm going to take my ruler, I'll line it up, and I'll pull it back to where my dot was, which is now also where my bottom line is. Sometimes this will line up right like it does where it's annoying, right here in the center. Other times it'll be along this line or over here. It doesn't matter where it lines up as long as you pull it back to the dot. All right, here we go. I'm going to pull this one back, and sure enough, I've got my dot, and I know I'm pretty close because my top dot lines up pretty nicely too. Now I've still got this guy to go. All right, there's a dot on that. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the angle of this M that I've made. And now without changing the angle, I'm going to slide it along. If you go like this or something, it'll look horrible. You have to match the angle so that it runs parallel to it and not change the angle. I find sometimes when you just slide it down towards you, it kind of moves forward and then you don't lose your angle very easily. So now I've got a nice little edge there. I'm going to clean this up so we can see it better. I'll take my little kneaded eraser and come in and get rid of the rest of this guy because we don't need that. And I'll come in, and don't forget to fan your fingers, right, when you're doing stuff like this so you don't wrinkle your paper. And I'll come in and clean up the bottom so I don't have any extra little lines for that. And we'll finish off the A next. All right. I'm going to, I think I'll do the inside of here first so I can see inside. I'm going to line my ruler up. I'm going to drag it down to my dot. And I'll put a little horizontal inside this square. Then I'll turn my ruler so it's vertical. And I'll do the same on the other side. I'm copying my lines into the distance. And then we can see into on top of our A. I'll take my nice little kneaded eraser here and erase that little guy inside the square way in the back there. So it looks like we can see all the way through it, floating in space. Let's do our bottom down here, right? Come along and pull my line horizontally down so it matches. Do a little line there. Turn my ruler. Get this nice little vertical line going. All right. Now I'm going to do the bottom. I don't like these. These are not dark enough for me to see very well. I'm going to darken them up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to pull this down. And to save time, I'll do both of them. Did this line up perfectly? No. You can fudge it, remember? I'll come back. If I look at it, my dot's a little bit off. I made this a little bit, this line off a little teensy bit, and it made a difference. I think I'll just redo it so it looks a little bit nicer. It's called fudging. You can do it. There, that looks much better. All right, so now I'm going to take my last line over here and make the side of my box. All right, so now I've got an A, but I need to clean it up, right? Clean it. So step one, draw the front of your image, right? In this case, we're all doing letters. Step two, remember, is draw your lines back to your vanishing point everywhere you can without drawing over the top of your image. All right? So here I am doing the R. Always double check to make sure you're going back to your vanishing point. I cut myself off on my third line. So you always want to double check. Ooh, can I go back right there? I can. I can go back on this little angle here. Right. Let's see here. Boink. Boink. Am I missing anything? Let's see how many I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I didn't do this one. 5, 6, 7, 8. I couldn't do that. 9. Couldn't do that one or that one, but I'm missing this one. So it's always a good idea to go back and double check, because what usually happens when people make a mistake is they forget to do one, right? Do you remember what we did on this? You should probably use the same amount, right? This is going to be our last letter together. I don't think you need to watch the whole entire video, right, of me finishing the whole name. We'll do one more little section on how to shade them so that you're in the right. And then you'll be on your own to do your own name in 1-point perspective. Step 2 is drawing our lines back to our vanishing point, of course, after we finish the front of our object. And now we're in the process of doing step 3, which is measure, right? So I'm measuring. And you can see these lines are a little bit more steep now that they're closer to the vanishing point compared to those. Let's get the bottom of our R first. And to save, oops, I'm holding my ruler crooked. And to save time, I'll do both of them at the same time. Now, we'll do this guy. And this guy. You see this odd angle here? Just because there's no line there doesn't mean there isn't going to be another line going along this way. So I'm going to line my ruler up because we have a dot on that line. It's got to have half a line showing. Oops, I went past it. Pull out, find the little intersection, make a little line there. Now I've got it going up and around. All right. Let's do the inside. Hold it up horizontally, pull it down to copy your line into the distance. All right. Line your ruler up with the edge vertically, pull your line back to put your line in the distance. And this one, we have oh my god, it's so small. I don't know if we can even, oh, I got it. That's why we love these erasers. All right, I'm going to darken this line because we can't see the edge very much. There we go. Now let's see here. We got this guy to go. And looks like there's a little bit more over here I need to pull out for this part. There we go. And I've got one more line to do. You see we're missing this angle right here. And so where this dot is, that's telling me approximately where I want to do it. That's why we do the measurements. I'm going to pull out till I get to that intersection and finish him off. Now I've got a nice little R. All of your letters have to be square. Don't try and do a circular one, right? When we come back in a minute, I'm going to have shaded one of them and talk to you about shading.